When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. If you're like me, it takes a million times around to get it. But when you do, you can even sing it in a round. It's really a beautiful song to keep in your pocket for a baby and for as a doula. I'll be talking to doulas and daddies and mommies and pregnant people and everyone. How do you want to do this?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Good. Because I think these things are that I will say are old wisdom that we all know from being helpers at birth in a million past lives. Whether you're a man or a woman, we were all men, we were all women, and it will. And these things are just normal fare. This is how you stand for somebody who's giving birth. And we know that. We know that inside. We know that in our bones. We know that because we were children growing up in it. You know, whether we were 4 or 6 or 8 or 15, we heard the sounds of birth. We heard the everything. We heard the sounds from when it began. We heard them getting louder. We heard them getting grunty. We heard them as the baby came out, and then we heard the baby. You know, these are normal wisdom. So, why would you like to give birth unassisted? What is your reason? What makes you say, yes, this is what I want to do? There are no wrong answers. Don't worry.
The system is set up not to trust my body anymore, and the baby. You don't honor that space. You don't give me the opportunity. Even
Right.
You have to fight. You know, you're like fighting all the time.
Right. The system
do
is
something that you know is innately yours, that you know that you can do that, and they won't honor that.
very
They
good.
won't hear that.
The system is set up to not honor the trust that you have in your birth. That's perfect. I'm just repeating it so that it can be heard better. What else?
I knew that I wanted to have it in a much more natural way, and not lying down on my back probably just didn't seem to make sense to me, or being in a bright light sterile environment. But I definitely wanted a midwife there, and now through this process I'm learning that that's still in a way unassisted, in the way that it's well, it is ours, and we're going to be doing it, and they're going to be there to facilitate and to support us. But it's still our responsibility, and still up to us. It's not taken away. And
it is up to you, and it's always up to you. Even if you were in a hospital, you could get up at the last minute and say, forget it, I'm out of here.
you know. So you find that midwife that is a perfect match, or you can choose again. Yeah. And make sure the midwife hears what you want for your baby. And if she doesn't get it, she asks you questions. Yeah.
And what I'm learning is, the midwives who've been doing it for a while have learned through their process that like the more they let go and let the woman do it, the more they're actually doing their job in a sense, right? Because like we're each gonna go through our own process and we're gonna feel it out what feels good and they're just there to really help and witness and support. But we're essentially like our own guides, like it's just gonna come.
And you only know what is right in the moment, you know, so you can't go, well, I know I want to do this, because in the moment it might be this.
Totally.
Right. Good. Anybody else have a?
Because that's the way it is, you know, like it is not a way like life is being always like that. Life is always giving birth. It's not possible to stop it, to control, even if we try to. With a system, like what you say, like system try to put it in a box, like this is birth and this is what happens, but birth unfolds itself always and lonely.
Yeah.
You cannot control it even
No.
if you want to.
Especially, it's good to have nature control it. Good. Thank you.
So when you say unassisted birth, you mean you can have your husband and your neighbor or your friend, but you mean not a professional person who has a license.
That's what it's become called, an unassisted birth. It was called free birth for a while, to mean the same thing, but a lot of people took it to mean you don't have to pay anybody. And that's the wrong reason to have an unassisted birth. You know, you have to go inside and check all the time. Is everything good? Is everything good? Is this the highest way for me to do this? You know, always. You can't just say, oh, I want to do it, and then run off and not pay attention. You know, you're paying more attention. You're being more responsible. You're asking all the questions. You're listening to all your fears, you know, so that each is processed and each takes you to the higher step, you know, and a higher vibration and the next right question.
But it doesn't mean that you'll be alone. It doesn't mean that you're just alone.
Could be.
You could be, but I wouldn't suggest that. I would always suggest that you have somebody who loved giving birth, and they are with you, because you need somebody to wrap you in a blanket sometimes. You need somebody to hand you that glass of water. You need somebody to know that what it is you need, and not by asking you questions, but by knowing birth. You know, and that's where your doula or your wise woman who's given birth before comes in. She knows what you need, and certainly your partner does too. You know, and the place of a doula never takes away the place of your partner. Never, never, never. You know, the doula helps the partner know this is how you can support. You know, but
So if your doula is with you and maybe your midwife,
yeah.
we can still call it an unassisted birth.
No, not. I would think not with a midwife there, because that's the assistance in the medical way. But it doesn't have to be medical at all. It can just be her nose and her hands who know birth so well that she can tell from upstairs just what you're doing.
Is it possible to take a step back once you kind of think you became a doula and just assist as a girlfriend?
And just have a girlfriend?
Is it possible to take a step back once you've been trained as a doula and just assist births as a girlfriend?
Yes. Yes.
I like to do that.
Yes.
I like to take a step back.
Yeah.
And forget that midwives.
Yeah. So it's wonderful to have just a girlfriend do it, but it's also helpful if the girlfriend has given birth. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that leads us into fears. Most fears come from either your mom. Your mom tells you 1,000,000 times the story of your birth, and it was, you know, it had some glitches in it or some wrinkles in it, and you kind of hold that wrinkle, that fear. And then the media is awful. The media tells you all births have to be an emergency, all births have to be scary and panicky and you know, so we start accumulating those things in our body, and that's not what we want. So during pregnancy, we have to go through all of that, all the layers of that, and look at each layer and say, okay, is this true for me? Do I believe in this? What is this really about? You know, and maybe you have to research it, or maybe not. Maybe just talk to somebody who won't give you the other side of things, the fearful side. But whatever it is, you have to look at it and come to find that place in you that just kind of goes, yeah, this is mine, my truth about this. I don't agree with that at all. And so then the next time it comes up, it just kind of goes past you. Yeah. So the other kind of fear can be from your own birth. And it's not what your mom told you, but it's what you felt in your birth. It's your birth trauma. And that you just want to be real sensitive to. You want to, you know, if something comes up and you catch it, and you just hear that, and then you let it go, or you don't even pay attention to it, and then it comes up again, and then it comes up again, pay attention to it. And this could be your own birth trauma. And you just want to go and look at it. You know, who you are. You're going to show us who you are. We don't get to tell you that we want a doctor in the family. You know? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That we honor this baby so much that we just watch. Who are you? What would you like us to know about you? How do we support you? You know how to support the baby. When you see that the baby likes balls, you know, you find him a ball, or roll him a cantaloupe, or, you know, just do whatever can be done. That's a natural part of parenting if we don't get stuck in what we want the baby to be. So if there is fear in the body, you know, about anything, you want to be alert to it. You want to just catch it. Whoa, I really feel funny about that. Okay, and right away turn it around. Turn it 180 degrees. If there's fear about this, then you want to be trusting about that. And what do you do to get there? So, you know, so much of pregnancy comes from transforming fear into trust, or letting it go, or transforming, or just staying in trust. It's a different process for everybody, but it's also different for different subjects. You know, so we can be really trusting in one area, but kind of fearful in another. So again, you want to pay attention to your body. How do I feel about this? And use your friends to talk about it so that you can get to the bottom of it for you. You know, because everybody has the same fears. What are the fears in pregnancy? They're always the same for moms and dads. What are they? Parents. Right. 10 minutes. You can do 10 minutes. Everybody can do 10 minutes. Or 10 minutes a couple times a day. Where you just settle. And if there's a question on your mind, just ask it. If there's if this is just a time to share, you know, I want to be with you. I want to just sit in your energy and just be quiet and do that. It's a treat to feel who you're going to hold in your hands in a few months. And if you're a doula, I suggest you do this with each mom that you work with. You take your time at the altar with each of your moms, and you can feel this baby, and you can feel this mom, and you can also sometimes unwrinkle something that is a problem that they don't understand, or they don't need to go there. You might be able to see something that you can help with, and your purpose is just to relax it. So doulas or daddies or women holding space for another pregnant woman can really care for that baby and that mama. And that's also what grandparents do. You know, as soon as you let somebody know that you're pregnant, you know, the grandparents go into high gear. They're so excited to welcome somebody into the family, you know, and that's really what they're doing. They're holding the energy for you to be pregnant, for that baby to come in the safest manner. And so, even though we know this, sometimes we get a hit to do something and we don't do it. Don't ignore nature. Just go, okay, I got that hit and I didn't pay attention. Pregnant, that help you with baby development, that help you go into labor and give birth, are the devas of creation. They're like angels, but they're devas, they're nature beings. They're not spirit beings, they're nature beings. And they're, you know, and these beings are infinitesimally refined. So they make this baby in the perfect way. And then they help the baby you know, move into the perfect position. So that's why I always say don't have a massage where the masseuse messes with the position of the baby. You know, she can give it cranial sacral, she can just add her love to the baby, but don't change the position of the baby. If you're working with nature, nature's got it down. And the other thing I'll tell you is it's a very big deal, because and what it is that the mom and dad's relationship has a big effect on the position of the baby, and the position of the baby will reflect it. If you're having problems, get over it, you know, work with it, get past it, because I've had babies that were tilted like that because, you know, their head tilts, and just this little tilt means that the birth takes a lot longer, hours and hours longer, just by doing this. So what's best is that, you know, you get through whatever your upset is with your partner, so that baby just can stay in a place of relaxation again, you know, and trust everything is okay. And that's something that both parents can just think to the baby constantly when they have their hands on it, or when they just think to it. You and mama are safe. You and mama are so safe and well, you know, and you just flow these kinds of thoughts to the baby. and make sure you're addressing anything that's in the way, because that'll come up. You know, then that fear will come up and you'll have to look at it, and that's just the way it's supposed to work. You know, so just let what you're sifting, you're sieving like flour. You know, we used to have sieves that the flour came out of. You hardly even see them anymore. But you're sifting all the things that are hidden in you out. So this is how they come up, by showing your love, by addressing everything that comes into your heart, into your mind. You know, if there's any upset at all, address it right now. So the days of creation. Wow. It's so simple. All you do is ask for them. And let's ask for them as a group and take 10 minutes to just feel. See if you can feel. I don't know if you can feel. See if you can experience in any way. Is it colors? Is it whatever? So just for the next few minutes, let's just experience whatever when you invite in the devas of the creation. The magic is that every time a mama rests, whether it's meditation or lies down for a nap or rests at night or just holds still, this is when the devas come and work with the baby's development, or work with the baby's growth, or work with your digestion so that it's even better for the baby. Whatever it is, this is when they come to work. And in my understanding, that's why sometimes there's morning sickness, because you just have to rest a lot. It's those weeks that are exactly when the baby is developing, not just growing, but developing. So of course you need to lie down and rest. And I want to be consciously in tune with you so that I know how to act. I know which vegetables to choose. I know which not to choose. I need, whatever I need is there because I'm listening, because I'm tender to what you're suggesting. So I always ask that the devas orchestrate the entire birth, even though they will, even though they would already do it. I want to know that I'm in alignment with that baby's birth that's coming. And that's why one of the reasons ever rush a birth. You don't want to ever hurry a birth along by drugs or whatever, anything, because we, in our limited understanding, don't know what position this baby is in. It could have the cord around its neck and under its arm and back through its legs, and it can't go any faster, or else the cord gets pulled tight, you know, and the nature spirits are perfect in their ability to orchestrate the birth so that the cervix opens and opens and opens, and then at the last minute, the baby goes from being very high to being born. You know, this is, after watching how nature orchestrates births, it's most amazing that there are so many, that the magic happens so often in birth. So they can slow down birth, they can speed up birth, but it all works perfectly when we just step back and watch what happens. So, unassisted birth.
In my case, it was a pool.
A pool, good, good. Yeah, a Walmart pool is perfect. It's about this tall. It's got fish painted on it. It's comfortable because you can lean back, you can lean forward. It's not the birth pools that are hard, a hard edge, and you can only sit on your bottom, which you will not want to do. So this $35 birth pool, in the States anyway, is a wonderful thing, and it also warms the mom, and that makes her relax. And it allows dad to catch, and that is a major gift. We'll go into each of these things. And it keeps the baby warm. And it eliminates an episiotomy or that kind, or a tear. You know, when a mom's in a pool, the warmth on her tissues and on her yoni is amazing, and she will just open and open and open slowly, 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 but she won't tear, or tear just, you know, just the tiniest bit. What else? What else do you need in a birth?
Something to cut the cord.
Or not?
Or not.
Okay, okay, right. Yes, I brought my little string. All you need is a piece about a foot long. Boil it up, put it in a brand new baggie, and put it with your birth things. But, well, we're jumping. We haven't had the baby yet. Okay, so you need warmth. Now down here, you got warmth. But that can also be, it can also be chilly when there's drafts or something like that. So if there's ever goosebumps on the mom, it's too chilly. And close the door, close it up, and then open it up later. And the reason for this is because there are different hormones connected with being chilly or being warm. And the hormones to give birth are when the mom is warm. So that's the oxytocin. And when she gets chilly, that means the hormones switch to adrenaline. And that's not what you want. That's when things stop. Another thing you want to do for the unassisted birth is be drinking a lot of water. Every half hour, drink a glass full of water. And this is because, hi, what's your name?
I'm Heather.
Heather, hi Heather, welcome.
Hi.
So when you feed the mom water, when you feed the mom lots of water, every half hour, a glass of water, then she will not spike a fever. And if she were to get dehydrated, she would spike a fever, or might spike a fever, and then it's difficult to tell whether it's from dehydration or whether it's from an infection. So you just don't want to go there, and you want to be handing mom a glass of water, and she will take it. She will take it. If she doesn't take it and it's a half an hour, then you just say it's time, and your hands get swollen and get not swollen, but really there's something behind there that's pushing. On a first baby, this is when you are going to push, because before crowning you have to get past that bone, and so you're blowing. So somebody could be in your face just going, because she, to tell her blow her brain isn't there. You just have to be in her face going, and that can be Dad, who's going to be right here in between her knees catching. He can go, because it's really hard. It's really hard. It's harder than holding back, to not push. So you just do that and let the baby slowly come out. And then all of a sudden, I have many moms who don't even know that the head is born. It just is like out, and they don't even know it. And I say, reach down and feel your baby. Oh, it's so big! The head is so big. But there it is, it's already out. So at that point, then you don't need to blow anymore. And then everything stops, and you're going to wait a few minutes for the next contraction. We forget about this. But okay, so the next contraction, and nothing is happening. Even if the baby's underwater, it's fine, because the baby's still connected to the umbilical cord and the placenta inside mom. And so that's a thought. So I just want to let you know that that's okay. The baby sometimes can even have his eyes open, even though the way they come out is that they're face down. So if they're on the pool, I usually get a pool noodle. You know what they are? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and cut a piece that's about like this, and then have the mom sit on it, because that's the size of the baby's head. And so she's sitting on it or leaning back, or a really good birth position is this, or this, because the head is just that size, and can come out without any hindrance. Thank you. So if Dad is right there and it's a water birth, there's no problem with dropping the baby. Babies are really slippery, and they can come with a lot of force. So not the head. The head comes slowly, and then all of a sudden the head will turn towards one thigh or the other thigh. You don't have to remember this. Nature does it. So when the baby turns, that's getting the shoulders in alignment with the outlet of the pelvis. The pelvis is like this on the inlet. The head and that on the outlet. So that's the journey of birth for the baby. The baby's twirling around. It's spiraling through this 7-inch pelvis. And so when the head is born, it's the baby's facing down. The back is up, like this. And where am I? So with the next rush, the next contraction, the baby turns so that the face is facing one thigh or the other. And that's when the shoulders are in alignment. And that's when the baby's going to just whittle out. And that's when they come out with a lot of force. You know, they can just go whoop.
So, what makes them turn to one side or the other one? Either or?
Whether the back is on this side or this side. Yeah. So if it's here, it travels, you know, differently. You have to have a baby doll or a baby.
And again, doesn't mean anything which side
No.
it starts.
No.
Even though I've heard they say that it starts on your left side would be faster for some reason than if it starts on your right side, the back of the baby. No. These
you don't have to worry about because that's determined by the baby's lie in, you know, months before. Yeah, and it can be determined by the cord. You know, it just depends. But while we're there on the cord is not a problem. If it's wrapped around the neck, I've had 4 wraps, and I've had 3 wraps and a true knot. And baby is fine. If baby's meant to make it, baby will make it. You know, baby on its side some so that anything in the water, any water comes out. But really what's going to happen is the baby's going to get its breathing together first, you know, and it just wants to look around, it wants to take in the smells, be quiet because it's, for the first time, it's not covered up with the water, and so it hears everything, and it's just going to get comfortable and be breathing before it wants to turn and nurse. And then when it nurses, then everything's, you know, the breathing, the baby's got it down. Baby's able to breathe. So underwater, and you're just holding baby like that, it doesn't get that message. So it will keep pulsing and pulsing and pulsing and pulsing. Just let it. It'll take a little longer, but you're just looking at the baby anyway. All you want to do is just take in that baby, you know, and watch it and talk to it and love it and promise it and do everything that you do with a brand new baby. And then, I want to go to bed, I want to lie down. And with that urge comes the placenta. So she can squat in the pool, into a bowl, or squat into the pool, and then you just pick up the placenta and put it in the bowl. So there's no reason to cut. There's no need for scissors, which is wonderful for yonis. It's wonderful for umbilical cords, and it's wonderful for circumcision. No circumcision. You know, we don't need scissors. Nature knows what she's doing. And realize, wait a minute, where am I? Okay, realize that the baby gets cold if the baby's wet and not underwater. So you want to make sure that you know, that the chin is not right on the water. You know, have the water here on the baby because you're doing something else or trying to nurse, and you know, all of a sudden the baby's mouth is underwater. Don't do that. So, where was I? Oh, so what? Yeah, keep the baby warm. So one source of warmth is mom's belly. The other source of warmth is the baby's under it. So if the baby's not under it, you know, you can take a cup and just pour the water like this on his back. You know, just keep pouring. And mom can also nurse there. So when she gets out, if she doesn't want to have the placenta in the water, have her get out, and right beside it is a bowl, and she squats, and she's going to have to push really hard because the placenta is so soft that it doesn't have anything to resist, you know? So you just have to really and push. And too much detail.
No, it's okay. It's great. It's great.
Or pee. Sometimes they have to pee. If you haven't peed, sometimes the placenta doesn't
Yes.
So then they just have to remember to pee. That's
Well,
a big one too.
yes, but that's easier said than done. If anybody knows homeopathics, aconite is a wonderful one because you can't feel your the nerves in your bladder, so you can't feel to release them, you know. And if the mom has been scared in any way, then aconite is perfect. And if the mom needs it, the baby needs it. So just give the mom one.
And if you don't have that, you can smell peppermint as well. That's supposed to relax.
Peppermint oil, nice.
Aconite, like she's scared in the moment of the placenta is not coming, or how? This homeopathy.
Oh, aconite, just put it under their tongue.
For like in that moment
Yeah.
of the placenta,
Oh, no, if she can't pee.
he can pee.
But I like to take care of peeing long before they give birth. You know, that they're drinking a lot, remember? That every half hour is drinking. So every so often, if you see this little lump over here, that's their bladder and they need to empty it. And so they really need to pay attention to that. So that's your job as a doula. That's probably your most important job, is keep them drinking, keep them peeing.
We've just seen them stay in longer, up to 9.5 hours, and it's usually because the bladder they've not been able to pee.
Right.
Or they're scared because they think it's going to feel like the baby. So then we just let them go to sleep and
Right.
do their thing. But sometimes, yeah, it's just peeing. The bladder acts as like a holder.
Uh-huh.
And
Well,
then
aconite is
relax.
exactly what you need then.
But if you don't have it, homeopathics are sometimes hard.
No,
to
go
find.
get it. You can get it. There's a guy in Las Cruces.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Good to know. Thank
yeah.
you.
So, yep, he's good, and he also is a midwife. He's done a bunch of births, a lot of
Yes,
births.
he's in Punta Mita.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Punta Mita.
Punta Mita?
Dr.
Oh,
Diego-
yes, right.
Diego Navarro, sí.
Yeah.
He is a midwife? I didn't hear you.
Sí, él atendido.
Yes, he's done many, many births.
Sí.
Yeah.
Diego Navarro?
Sí.
So you want to keep the baby warm, and thank you, thank you. Take care.
We take a moment.
You know what? Let's just finish because it's quick. So I know one doctor that receives a baby in this way. He says to the baby, "Wow, it's good to see you. You are such a beautiful baby, and I'm so glad to see that you are healthy and strong. But you did scare me when blah 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 happened, you know." And the reason that this is such a good idea is because the baby has let's call it an imprint of this was a scary part in birth, and the doctor is saying this was a scary part, and it worried me, and it matches with the baby. If nobody addresses that this baby was scared, the baby has to process it all by himself. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when the doctor said, it scared me when your heart rate went up, then the baby, even though you think that's too intellectual, the baby just gets it because it matches what happened in the body. And then it's just like, oh, okay, now I can move on. I'm not saying this too clearly. From your face.
I think you're saying to take some of the energy from what's happening to match it. No, equalize
Yeah,
it.
tell the truth about it. Yeah. If your mom is scared at some point so that she holds her urine, then you just have to address that fear. When was it that you got scared? Just ask her. And she'll go, oh, blah, blah, blah. She'll tell you the whole thing, you know, and then in 10 minutes she'll pee. You know, so aconite is just helpful, but it's not the only way. Yeah. Okay, we're almost done.
We had a class and we got
Bye, nature baby. Bye-bye.
it starts crowning, and then you start blowing to let the baby do the work.
Uh-huh.
And then once the head is out, do you push again?
Nope.
No,
That's it. Once the head is out, you stop pushing and you just let the baby do it. The head is out, the baby will wait for another contraction or rush. It will turn, and then it will wiggle its shoulders out. One shoulder will come, the top shoulder usually comes first, and then the bottom, and then the whole baby just goes, like a blow-up toy was what it looks like. It looks like it comes out like this and then goes whoop. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah. So, hospital birth will change when parents demand it. We are voting with our money and with our choosing that hospital. We are voting with that. So you determine how you want to have your baby and what kind of birth you want to claim. It's really us that is the key. We're the key to the birth you want to claim. We're the key to empowering birth. And really the whole thing about what is it called? Unassisted birth is that we are empowering ourselves so much more. Think of it this way, if you go to a hospital and just say, deliver me, the doctor does it. The mama doesn't do it. If you go to the hospital and say, this is my birth and I'm going to do it, that's a huge level of empowerment over just giving your birth to the doctor. So
or a midwife.
And when you have it at home, you're taking even more responsibility. You have to pay attention to everything, every day. You have to listen to your body inside and out. You have to listen to your baby. You talk to the devas of creation. You are on it, and as you should be, because this is a huge project. It's a very big project. Such a big project that in my book I talk about it as being equal to a PhD, and that takes you years and years to accomplish. And this is a PhD done in 9 months. So you are doing an amazing amount of work, even when you're resting, especially when you're resting. Then they come in and do more work. So unassisted birth is not for everybody. Don't feel that, you're a wimp if you don't choose it. It's not like that at all. Some mamas have to take steps to get there. Some mamas know better that their baby needs to be born in a hospital. Some mamas and papas know that that's not their thing this time around. Whatever the reason, it's only for some people. And it takes that continuous inner listening, continuous, every day, and let what comes up come up. And I didn't mean this to be the last, but there's a wonderful thing I can teach you called the red flag. That's what I call it. And sometime, well, you can do it now. Even though you will be, well, hopefully the devas of creation are going to be good buddies. And this is what I was taught from them. So they said, look, everything is safe unless you see red, a whole field of red. And that is the sign that I want to give you so that you know that something needs attention that I can't do. I'm talking about this from a midwife's point of view. Something needs attention in a hospital. And so if I don't see that red field in my vision, then I know that whatever's happening is perfect. And it's just putting the mother through whatever she needs to do to be able to surrender more and more. you know, and it's just the timing, and it's just the this or that or the other, or the baby needs to take longer because of the umbilical cord, or because of the bones, or whatever, because his head needs to contract a little. Babies are magicians, and the pelvis of the mom opens to allow the baby of that size to come out, regardless of what the doctor says, and the baby has a head that has all these fontanelles and bones that fold over like a bird's wing, you know, and it just folds like that in order to come out of the mom, of the space that the mom has available. So it's this magical play of, you know, the mom opening and the baby overlapping in order to be born. So when we don't rush anything, we just allow it to happen in the timing of nature, then everything works. So I welcome you into your ability to give birth by yourself, because every woman has it. And you guys, you know, when you do this, you know empowerment at the highest level. And women are amazing because birth does this for us. Yeah, men have to do all sorts of different things, you know, vision quests and extreme sports and all sorts of things in order to really know who they are, you know? So we have it easier. Although, you know, birth is huge. Huge. Yes. So thank you. And we can take a break and then do oodles of questions.
Okay.
Good?
Thank you.
Good.
Say hi here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hola. Vamos a tomar un pequeño receso y nos conectamos de nuevo en 10 minutos, 15 minutos. Gracias por estar todos. Thank you so much. We are going to take a break.
Yeah.
Even if you have no experience, it's better, like if they're calling for you, they just want another woman to say,
To be there.
You're doing a beautiful job. The baby's coming, especially in transitions. When they're like, I don't want to do it anymore. I can't do it. You're like, you're doing it. The baby's coming. We can see you opening. Just anything. And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot I was having a baby today. It's been 22 hours. Like, it's been 35 minutes. Yeah. The perception of time.
Yeah,
is
good.
But yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
How many kids do you have?
Just 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
2 is a lot.
two's plenty. I had a third one and a fourth one half cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had many miscarriages as well, but yeah.
Yeah.
One more. I would love one more. Let's do it.
Whoa, congratulations.
Yeah. One more. I want to have one more. You're a champ.
Wow.
I know Carmen's like, 2 is enough.
Yeah, birthing, we can do 10 of them, but raising.
No, I love it. I love it.
Oh, I loved it too, actually. Yeah, that was the easy part. When they got to be 30, that was the harder part.
Yeah. I'm 43. I'm getting a little tired now.
Yeah.
It's getting a little bit
Good.
harder, yeah.
So how about questions on pregnancy, birth, labor? What are the pieces?
I had
Yeah, you had some.
I do, but I have to rethink about what they were.
You
Okay.
almost have to write it down because it's so overwhelming when people are testing you.
Go, continue.
Yeah. Well, I realize I didn't do much on lotus birth. Is there interest on lotus birth here? Pardon me?
You kind of did. I mean, you said believe it, which is really important.
Yeah.
Just getting all that good love.
My book has a whole chapter on lotus birth, so that what?
I made 2 lotus birth.
Oh.
You made
I mean,
2 lotus
children.
births?
I have 4,
Uh-huh.
and I
She had 2
two for 2 times.
And what would you say between the doing it and the not doing it? What would you suggest to other people? What did you learn?
Oh, yeah, I learned.
Did you like it?
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
Why?
Because we are whole.
Mm.
Yeah, and they are whole, and they are just being themselves, and the things happens.
Uh-huh.
Nature
Uh-huh.
takes off the cordon and to us in silent and not cutting,
Mhm.
not blood.
Mm-hmm.
Just-
And
Not
how long
really.
it took?
Yeah.
Huh?
How long it took for the cord to?
3 days in
3
2
days.
times.
3
Wow.
days. 3.5
In the
days.
2 times and in Switzerland and in Mexico and
See?
the
3
other
days?
3 days and 3 nights.
Wow.
And you just salted the placenta in a bowl?
In a bolsa?
In
No.
no, in with a paño, cloth. Yeah.
On a cloth.
Just wrap it up?
Ah.
Yeah,
Did you did it dry?
dry. Yes.
Did you put anything on it? Like
A little bit of salt in the first time,
oh.
and second time
No.
nothing.
Interesting.
Nothing.
Mexico,
In Mexico, nothing.
that's
It
it.
was
Wow.
long wait.
And if you don't get enough rotten or smelling or
No, not so much. No. In the first time, I was thinking, yeah, maybe it's I don't know. I put it sand and a little bit of romero. But in the second time, the smell is not.
No?
And you were
so
in Mexico the second time.
Yeah.
Yes, don't forget the humidity has a lot to do with it. If you're here, you probably would be a good idea to do rosemary. Very ground very fine. You can buy it ground, then it absorbs more moisture. But in Mexico City, it's so high up that it's dry.
It was in Caribbean. It was a
Oh.
lot of humidity. Yeah.
Because salt usually absorbs the moisture and it just rots. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But you don't want the salt.
You don't want to
in
use
humid weather
salt, no.
here.
And then when you get the placenta, do you just plant it or you bury it?
I have it.
Very good.
They are dry
In the
and
freezer?
work with me. I travel with them.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, I have both.
It's bien.
And they're dry. And you
They
can
are
put
dry,
it back.
dry, like this. And the first I make a little bit of pastillas, yeah. And the second is just try with the cord.
But this was like, no, it's actually not for us at all because it has a lot of estrogen, which is counterindicative for the milk. And so it's like the baby's twin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so you save it for the baby. You can make it into a powder or even homeopathy or whatever, and you give it, and it always will like realign the baby. Even when it's a bigger child, like 4 or 5, whatever.
That's super
And you can give the medicine. So I thought it was really interesting because like for me, after my birth of Rio, I took like some big chunks and put them in the smoothie, and it didn't feel right. Like it just didn't feel right. And then
Your tables are turning.
yeah, they were talking to me and I wasn't listening. But I just thought that was really important. I thought that was really important information because even the hormonal, like how that can shift your hormones when you're supposed to be in that like milk production. And then it's so true. Like it's always been that it's a baby. You wouldn't have it if you didn't have a baby in there. And so I thought that made a lot of sense.
You learned this from a midwife?
From Wapio.
From what?
From the other, there's another midwifery conference.
Oh, I know Wapio, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think
6
that's,
weeks before, no?
yeah, I've gone
Makes sense. I didn't
quite a
know.
journey with lotus birth and all
She's
of
gonna
that.
come next February.
Here?
I'm talking with her.
Where?
about creating keywords
Where?
to the area. I don't know. I
Don't know
figure out
yet.
all like exactly where, but
Yeah.
you can fly into the Puerto Vallarta airport.
Cool.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we're gonna do one on free birth, which will be for, well, expecting parents, midwives or caregivers to sort of maybe reconceptualize or reignite that reason that you started. And then women who want to hold space, you know, or men, like, but just as like a birth witness, like a doula, but sort of redefining within that new contents of free birth what that is. And then another course on woman wisdom council, like the stages of our path as a woman. So where is it? And then, you know, and then the whole like dynamic of like what a family is, and you know, so all of that. And so that she's just a very wise woman, and like the information that she has is really, I think it will
important
be important
needs to
and
be
so
spread,
necessary for so, you know, to be put out to as many people. So I'll just be off there.
Yay! Being born, and then another, maybe even a month later if it takes longer gestation. But the placenta doesn't need to be born right away. That's the misconception of it. Let the body do what it needs to, as long as mom is stable, she's not bleeding, her color is fine. It's not an emergency. In the States, a lot of people transport for placenta staying in, and it's really not an emergency, again, if she's stable. So yeah, you want to keep the placenta, and you see it pulsing. If it's pulsing, it's giving the baby oxygen and blood yet. And then when it becomes white, that usually signals that it has released from the uterus, and it's just sitting in there, and you're ready
Right,
to give
but
birth to it.
that won't take a whole day. And you don't want to let it take a whole day, because then there's stuck energy there, and you feel so much better when it's out.
When it comes out.
Yeah, so usually it only takes, I mean, even if it took 2 hours, that's fine, no rush. But what you'll find is that all of a sudden you have something that feels like a grapefruit in your belly, and that's perfect, because that means your uterus is clamped down, and that's controlling the bleeding. And in order to get that, you nurse. You nurse and nurse and nurse, and that makes your uterus let go of the placenta, and it'll be in your yoni. It'll just be sitting there. And then your uterus is free to be a grapefruit, and that's when you get up. That's when mostly you feel, oh, I got to get up. You know, I got to change. I got to move. I got to do something different. And that's when you'll get up, and then you'll end up squatting and giving birth to the placenta. Yeah, but I wouldn't want it to stay in there all day.
Okay. And then you can actually keep the placenta connected with the cord.
Yes,
And
right.
the baby
It's all one.
Yes.
The baby's here, the cord's here, the placenta's here. Because, and anyway, you just stay on your bed. That's your altar. You know, so the baby's there, and if you put the placenta over the baby's head, then you're free to nurse. You know, you're free to get on the other side or move the baby or whatever, but the placenta's out of the way and uncovered, because the place that you want to dry up is right here on the belly button.
Yeah.
And then, so if you powder that with the rosemary, it's dry overnight, and leave the covers off. Right there. Harder than to do, but you can do it.
So you can put rosemary in the baby's...
Say it again?
If you put rosemary in the...
I use rosemary because it's an antifungal and antibacterial. It smells nice, you know, and it doesn't work with the humidity. It just absorbs, it dries. I learned it from the Native Americans, because they use it for deafening. And this, good luck without doing anything, then
Like
good.
In fact, nothing. 3 days it was completely dry.
Good, yeah.
Like olive oil or whatever type of oil when you're giving birth to like help the head come out and the body come out.
You can certainly do that. If you're not in a tub, it's really helpful to have warm. So a warm washcloth in a pan of hot water, you know, so that you can put that, or you won't be doing it, somebody else can put it on your bottom. And then that helps you also push towards it, because you can feel something different. You can feel that warmth. But it doesn't do nearly as good a job as water birth, because it's every so often instead of constant. And your tissues just get warm and supple and open up better when you're in water. And since there are no tubs here. You could do it in a bathtub, but I haven't found a tub yet.
No, tubs don't exist here.
Right. Right.
That's another question I had. Very practical. When you're using a pool, how do you keep the water warm?
Boil pans of water. Yeah, and hoses. So you have big. You borrow.
My husband was doing that all night long. And sometimes it was cold.
So what I would do would have a hose of cold water, but then you only turn the hose on when you need cool.
Right.
And it's also good to have a thermometer, because if it's too hot and it's more than your body temperature is, then it's too hot and you can stall labor. So you just want to have it like 98, your temperature. So buy a thermometer. And use it to check on the heat of the tub. Yeah. And then when it gets real close, you can warm it up, because the baby's already at more like 100, and so you can warm it up a little, and that feels good too. Yeah. So, yeah.
40 days ago, I was with a mother who had her baby, and she did amazing. She had 2 previous C-sections, and she did amazing, but her placenta, right when she gave birth, she was so happy she called her mother, and she wanted a picture while the placenta was still inside. And then her placenta took 6 hours to come out. But her vital signs were fine, and everything was fine.
And she wasn't bleeding.
She wasn't bleeding at all, and she kept saying, I'm fine, and we kept checking on her vital signs.
Yeah, good.
She's fine. But yes, and it was just stick in her vagina at the entrance.
It was just sitting there.
Yes, but I did put my glove. When I said, I'm going to go see where your placenta is, and I put my glove in, then I see her husband that came towards her and started just doing like little ting, ting, ting to the cord.
Right.
Just very like a tapping, no? And I came back and I said, what are you doing, husband? And he's like, just ting, 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 ting. I said, oh well, whatever. So I went to put my glove, and then he says, oh, it's born.
Right. So that's why you don't want to pull on it at all until you feel this grapefruit.
It was a grapefruit.
When there's a grapefruit, then it means it's just sitting in the yoni, and that's when you can pull or even get your finger up and encourage it, because it's just sitting there. It's not in the uterus.
But you just encourage it. You don't actually pull.
We tried
Hers
it
is in the
every
uterus.
day.
She's saying it was in the uterus. It was stuck in there and hardly.
No. I thought. No, she said it was in the yoni. It was just sitting there.
But the rest of it was in the uterus. Because you were tugging, and so the cervix is closing down on it. That's what I see too, the reason why they're taking so long. Some people just want their uterus closed really quick, and it sits in there.
But
that's why it's not a
I put my
complication.
hand on her uterus and did a little tracking, and I didn't feel the uterus move, so I thought it's not in the uterus.
It's all sitting there.
Because when I pulled, I didn't feel this. And she wasn't bleeding or anything.
Perfect.
And she had no information that medically this can be the worst emergency. She didn't know that. So she was very relaxed, and part of you can click,
Audrey had a good point about that. It totally makes sense that some people don't want their birth to end, and they hold on to it.
And Gaia also shared something interesting, that if you call your mom and your mom did not trust you to have a natural home birth,
very good,
and you call your mom to prove her, then this interferes with releasing it somehow.
I love that.
That's so true. And she did, this woman, she gave birth, and she's so happy that after 5 minutes she says, I need to call my mom. And I was just like, well, okay, but we're not done yet, but okay. And then a picture and everything, I'm like, okay.
The biggest I told you so photo.
Yeah, the whole family, her 2 other girls, the husband. And they're like, okay, I'll take the picture. No, you are going to be in the picture. Okay.
I remember the question I have.
Okay.
And I'm in the room with all of these doulas and midwives, so it's good to ask. If the placenta decides to place itself really close to the opening of your cervix, when you think about that, can you still just have a natural birth? It's just where it needs to be, or
How far along are you?
I'm
You're
like
just
5.5 months, and I think like maybe a month ago I went, and she was like, "Oh, it's really close to your cervix." Like because I didn't want to do any more ultrasound. She's like, "Oh, you really need to do another ultrasound." And
Okay, I'll tell you the magic of the uterus.
Okay.
It grows from the back. So see, none of this was a problem until we had ultrasound. You wouldn't even have known that this was happening.
Right.
And so you just let nature do it. But the magic is that the uterus grows from the back, and that pulls up where the placenta is growing. Yeah. And that way you don't have to worry. You know, if you don't, it's not a problem.
It's just gonna float on it.
And it might not come up here, but it'll come here.
Just enough for
right,
it to be
right. Yeah, and I agree. Don't have more ultrasounds.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The reason I passed you out a card is just to remind you that so much more is in almost a 500-page book. Oh no, I did the second edition. I don't remember how many pages now. But I have a book called Sacred Birthing, Birthing a New Humanity. And that has all of labor and birth in it, and pregnancy. And then the second book is called Conceiving Souls of Magnificence. And even if you're pregnant, read that so that the next baby, for the next baby. And then the third one, even though these are backwards, is called Making Love to Source. And this is a book for women. And when you embody it for women, then share it with your man.
Wow.
And I'm working on now another book at the other end of the spectrum on our own birth trauma. So this is just to go to Amazon, put in my name or Sacred Birthing, and all the questions. That book took me 7 years, and 2 more years to do the second edition. But it should answer all your questions and give you the wonder that's been lost in birth. We have lost that wonder. We all intellectually know, okay, this is such and this is such, but we've lost that our bodies are such magnificent creation, and it knows exactly how to do it. So when somebody can scare us with an ultrasound, it's like, let it go. Don't go back. Know that you have a deva that is taking care of things beautifully, and just ask, please put my baby in the right position. Please help me to give birth. Sometimes I don't think I can. Sometimes I'm really scared. Just tell the truth and ask everything. Yeah.
Do you currently assist on assisted births?
Say it again?
Do you currently assist on assisted births?
Yes, that's probably the only way I want to assist anymore.
So you just give talks and then you are not with the births?
No, at this point, my last baby was about 3 years ago. And something's morphing, but I don't know what. And when I started changing inside me. And so when I started this work on the birth trauma, our own birth trauma, I can tell that the change is happening, but I don't know where I'm going with it. Just like your shift. Yeah. So ultimately, my goal was to create a birthing sanctuary, a place in nature where mamas come and papas come, and they give birth. They give birth because it just allows them. It allows them to trust. It allows them to know their space is safe. And that was a vision I was given in 1996. I was told, I saw this land, and it just had lots of little pods, little houses, little tiny houses, and there was a family in each house waiting to. You will create a new kind of birth for the master souls coming. And part of me thought, what in the world is a new kind of birth? And the other part of me thought, what in the world is a master soul? So, yeah, the master soul question is answered more in the Conceiving Souls of Magnificence book. But since that vision, I've always felt that, you know, women don't have any problems giving birth as long as they can have a safe space and a space that they look out and just are, you know, their whole body goes, because that's what it needs to do to give birth, So when we as a culture are smart enough to offer that for our babies, because we recognize that babies are everything, and there's nothing more important to do than to. But it wasn't time for it. I think that's what the problem was. So who knows where it'll be, and really each country needs one or three or five. Each community, exactly. So let's hold that dream, you know, that we can support our pregnant folks that way.
I offer my space for a living for
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, thank you, Audrey.
You can't live there for 3 years.
But do you have a condo?
Her space is beautiful.
In San Ignacio, we have a really beautiful property in the nature of the jungle with the arroyo, which is now dry, but will be plentiful soon. And it's just really peaceful with tons of birds, and we have a big swimming pool. And
is that here, San Pancho?
Sayulita.
It's like 5-minute drive.
Right before
nice.
Santa Sayulita. It's a little town.
I have a tin, and I have like a birthing pool, for example. We have a rope, we have like a hammock, and different things.
Rebozo.
And then I'll live there.
Yes. That's great.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for offering that to all these women. I just saw this vision of land that was held in mountains, and the driveway went like that, and it had live water on it, and it was owned by old people, and I saw all this like 2 years before, but I didn't know where it was in the world. Oh yeah? Yeah. So I finally said, okay, if you want me to go find this, tell me where it is. And nothing happened. And then 1 week there were 12 things that said Ecuador. And I was like, okay, so I went down and found it, exactly what I had seen. In Ecuador.
Wow.
Where in Ecuador?
Cajas?
Montanita or?
No, Cajas.
Cajas.
Yeah. Yeah, it was right next to the land, right next to where the Virgin Mother was seen in apparitions.
And it still exists today?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it is a little community there.
Yes.
And they do birds?
What?
They do birds? People birth in there?
No, nothing's happened. Then when I told somebody the story of the whole thing, 4 people said the exact same thing. It's just not time yet. You know, so, okay. But now I don't have the money. Oh well. Something else, somebody else has that part to play. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens when you're born free.
Yeah, right. Thank you all for coming. Wow.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. What fun.
Preguntas.
Like, for example, since I gave birth, well, before I gave birth, I was fascinated about birth, but when I gave birth, I became a real fascinated. And I always thought to be midwife, but since I learned about free birth and unassisted birth, like, I really feel that's my way, you know?
Good.
So how can, what you think about prepare myself in a way to not be a midwife, not be a doula, but be there for moms in a way that they are just giving birth by itself, like, yeah. How can I support in that way, like not?
You have a baby already,
Yeah.
and you're no, you're not pregnant again.
No, I'm fatty.
You're fatty, right? I'm fatty too. So you already are it. You already are exactly who they need. You've given birth. Did you enjoy your birth? Did you love your birth?
First part yes, second part not.
Okay, but you know the feeling of each one.
Yeah.
When everything's going well, and you can smell it, and you can feel it, and you can see her, and you can see just what she's doing, and you hear everything that's happening. Like your first birth, you know it's going just right. And like your second birth,
No, she only has one.
I have, but the first part
of her birth.
giving birth, it was beautiful. Placenta, it was awful. So that's the thing.
Okay, so that could have been your birth trauma too,
Yeah.
where your mom had that.
My mom had a beautiful birth.
So that was not your birth. Sometimes that place that we get scared, or that we had a problem, is a problem of ours. You know, it's a problem with letting go, or surrendering completely, or stepping into the next phase. I don't know what it would be for you, but that would be where your work is. Okay? So that you wouldn't bring that to another person. You have already made peace with it. But I think you would be a wonderful person to help with birth. You know, you are able to stay still and watch. Stay still and feel. You know, you can hand people glasses of water. You can wrap them in a blanket or a sweater. You know, you can do what you know you needed. And I'm speaking to everybody, anybody. You know, we have that inside us. And I think that's even. See, there are too many laws and things that we don't want to take part in giving birth. And until we claim it back, we claim birth ourselves, it's just going to keep getting, you know, going in the wrong direction. But when suddenly there's no money coming into the hospital, they're going to look out and say, well, what do people want? Now maybe this is, I don't know, Mexican birth, you know, but this is American birth.
There's no laws for that home birth. There's no laws. There's no laws against it. There's no laws that support it.
But if you go to the hospital, there's a really high chance you can get sick.
Right, and if you go to the hospital, that's what I meant by laws. They have their ways, their protocols, their practices, and that's their law, their field of birth, their laws of birth. Yeah, so we don't want to enter into that if we know that we can trust ourselves and we know our body can do this, and you know we're willing to work it and be responsible and not just be a airy-fairy, oh, this is what I want to do, you know, and not have our feet on the ground, because that's just the desire is there, but you're not doing the work. So, and that's really what our wisdom as a midwife is for, to do all the work with the person in pregnancy so that they can do the birth, you know, and not the other way around, right? Yeah. But when we can help them all through pregnancy, support them and make them ask the questions to themselves and, you know, throw out the answers that we think and let them go, nah, that doesn't feel right. Oh yeah, that does, you know, and just grapple with things so that they have done their work by the time it's time for birth. And then they don't need us, and that's the beauty. So there you go. Maybe that helps you with your question. Yeah. Cool.
It's like raising children so that they don't need you when they get older.
Exactly. Exactly. So they can be independent. Yeah. And look at what happens when they're independent. They can just take off and fly through the world. Yeah.
In your experience, how many men or fathers were unable to handle the situation?
None. And that's the midwife's problem too. It's our fault. Because if we don't educate the dad along with the mom at the same time, then they think they're out of it. But it's the same questions that they ask that we ask, you know, as a woman asks. And so if they come to the very first prenatal appointment and hear the questions, you know, they each hear the same questions that they have, then that dad takes as much responsibility as the mom does. And they have all been exceptional at birth. I've never had one faint or one walk out of the room or one do anything except be so blown away that his heart opens and he bonds with that baby and he bonds with you. And it's a fabulous experience for everybody.
I've seen a dad fainted in the hospital.
Yeah.
In America, that is birth.
Yeah.
He was fainting, and the nurse says, to the floor before you fall. But this was in the hospital.
Yeah, and it's because the doctor doesn't know educating. You know, they have 7 minutes for you.
And the body is treated just like a corpse.
Assembly line. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I was tied down when I gave birth. Tied down 45 years ago. I had my hands strapped and I went, what? What do you mean you were going to strap down my hands? And then I pulled them up so that I could escape them after she latched them in. I had to lie down and my feet were in the stirrups and the whole bit. Bad news.
But for C-section, they tie you here.
Yeah, they tie you.
And lock you here.
I have birth trauma for you right now. Oh my God. The uterus is hurting.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. So they have come a little ways, but not nearly what they need to come.
I can see why you're not competing, because that's really traumatic.
Oh, I'm a midwife because of my own birth trauma, which was far worse. Yeah.
Really? What your mom experienced and what you experienced when you came out of the womb is far worse than what?
Yeah. Than being thtied down? Yeah.
In those many?
Yeah. We both died. She was given an epidural, and it was in a military hospital, and the amount was way too much. And she got dosed toxically, you know, went into toxic shock, and then her blood pressure stopped, you know, and so there's no oxygen to the baby. So I remember flying out, but that was it. And then I remember having incredible head pain and being yanked back in.
They pulled you with forceps?
They pulled me with forceps, but the forceps wouldn't work. And then the doctor put his finger in my mouth and pulled down, which means up, because the head's coming out that way, and pulled me out. But there were no teeth. The teeth were all in the wrong place or didn't develop at all. And my eye is much worse on one side than the other, and my brain didn't connect. You know, it was dyslexic but they didn't know what that was back then. Yeah, so there was all sorts of head trauma. But it got me to be a midwife. It was like, boom, yes, I do not want other people to go through this. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
She didn't die. They did the paddles on us, and one nurse said it's rare that they don't lose one or both after that. But we both lived. But nobody told her anything about it. So instead of being a miracle baby, I was just somebody that made her feel very odd, very unokay, very. Yeah, I was the third of 6. I know.
So you found this out diagnosis? How you find out?
Oh, lots of work because of being a midwife and learning about birth trauma a long time ago. Then little bits by little bits, my birth came back to me, and I replayed it in so many ways. It has a lot about birth trauma, even sacred birthing, because it was my journey, Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Not something you want to hang on to by any means.
No, but I mean, you just want to have a note there that's possible in hospitals.
And like how blessed and lucky we are to just even like have this opportunity and knowledge that we are free to have a natural birth and that we have other options.
Very good.
All of that is such a blessing.
Right.
My mom, she's so funny, she's like 65. She's like, learning all this new information, she's like, I want to have another, I want to experience like
That's
a
right.
And she did, both of her births, she was like at 2 centimeters for like 12 hours. And then, and she was at the hospital, and then the doctors wanted to induce, or I think she did end up getting induced, but give her a C-section, and then she was like, wait, and both times it happened, she's like, no, I really feel like pushing now, and then she went from like 2 centimeters to 10 centimeters in like minutes. So she was able to semi-have a natural birth, but I think at least one she was induced and stuff.
Yeah.
She didn't know there was another option. It was like you went to the hospital.
Right.
That's what you did.
Well, the one thing that comes to mind now to tell you that I forgot is that the hands opens your hips another inch. An inch is huge. So if you're having problems or if you just feel to, pay attention to that and go on your hands and knees. And even though you think you're not upright,
right.
It doesn't work like that. No, but this is by crowning time, Yeah. So that is a position that's just, oh, thank you.
Opens your hips up one inch.
Like the one that you do too, where your knee is down and one knee is up, that opens your pelvis more too. That's really good.
Yeah. And squatting, is the tailbone goes like that. Well, if you're lying down, that tailbone is this, and you have to push the baby up over the tailbone and then out. And so if you're squatting, that tailbone goes like that, because that's just what the bone does. It just goes more like that, and that opens up. That opens up. What?
Doctors haven't figured that one out. It's been 100 years.
No, And I didn't even catch on to that. A Buddhist monk told me, and I went back and he said, babies don't like extreme exercise. And I thought, is this just an old wives' tale or what? But I went back and looked at my births, and that it played out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
one was a aerobic step up teacher of Zumba, and the step thing. I don't know what it's called. Step, and that baby had sacral person that sees every baby, because things just get shifted around through a pelvis.
For you, it would have been so good for you when you were a baby.
Oh, that would have been great for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It would have been perfect. But every baby has something going on, and it can. I had crossed eyes when I was little. And babies can have like twisted something in their eye, or teeth problems, or headaches, or everything, and so it just stops all of that from having to develop when they're 1 or 2 or 8, So say cranial is my favorite kind of thing for a newborn.
Yes.
And if they give it to them the first day, then those things don't have to develop.
Is there somebody here?
Yes, ta-da!
Hey, I'll see you day one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right up the street.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I think of right now is a place right here between the ball of your foot. That's a kidney point that is like the kidney life point, and doctors in emergency rooms can really haul on that point when somebody's having a heart attack or somebody's just going out, and bring the person back. So if you had a woman who's like, she's not that anything's wrong or that she's bleeding or something like that, and she's just going, you can yank on that point.
You want to do a sacral rub? Or you want to do a sacral rub? Here? You want to do a sternal rub on them?
No, tell me about that.
A sternal rub?
Uh-huh.
You mean you want to do it after
No, but if
the
you're
mom's
saying
shocked
this
or
is
something?
no, if the mom is out
or leaving.
going out,
Yeah.
this is the point that people do not like, and they usually come to.
Oh.
I've been a nurse for a few
She's a
years
nurse.
now. And if we've given somebody too much sedative, you immediately sternal rub them, and they.
What, with knuckles?
Yeah, just gently. Like people do not like that, especially
Interesting.
if they're like falling asleep or passing out.
Well, thank you.
It's thymus gland. It's a thymus gland.
You just
I
you
didn't
can do
hear
it
that
on
in
yourself. That
thymus.
does not
Thymus. Oh, yeah.
Thymus gland. So
Okay.
when you
Yeah.
Stimulates that area.
when
Yeah,
somebody's
this is
sad
part
or
of
when
our
somebody's
body
heartbroken or
more
really
mystically,
deep in
we, like,
depression, just you rub here. Can be like this or can be like this, and it's a way to
Bring them back.
bring them back. But it begins when we are growing up to being teenagers. This thing is growing. Is that the main impulse that makes us feel alive? So it might be related to coming back to this being alive feeling,
Yeah.
and then you can
9 times out of 10
help
they
people
like
just
fly
to
away and they're just
push forward.
Very nice. Thank you.
And it's connected to your heart and also with thyroid gland, and then you can connect all those three and connect with the brain, the pineal gland, and then when you connect here, your heart and pineal gland, everything connects again through your spinal cord. And it's what some yogic people work with. helping you with meditation or with some yoga asanas to stabilize whatever is happening in shock episodes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Good one.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
10 minutes more.
say it again.
It's 10 minutes more.
10 minutes more? Well, you have to have 10 minutes more of questions.
Or close.
If you're done, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was quite a group and quite a lovely. It's nice to have all sorts of different people, you know, that are helping in different ways for this birth community.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate all the knowledge that you bestowed on us and sharing your stories that are comforting.
Thank you.
What was the song again?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
When a baby is born, the morning sun rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning sun rises and sings to the universe who we are. The morning star rises. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. When a baby is born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. One more time. Oh, she got it. Very good.
That's so beautiful.
Isn't that pretty? That's a sweetie. Yeah. It's a nice birth circle.
Nice way to wake up every morning.
Yeah.
Just when you find yourself in that moment.
Yeah. And it's good because it asks you, okay, who are you going to be? Tell me.
Yeah.
Give me hints. What is your name? What would you like to be called? All sorts of questions that can just come. Yeah.
And I'm sure they enjoy it just as much as we do.
Oh, yeah.
Song and melody.
Song. Because song develops a whole other side of the brain. You know, and they hear lots of talking, but that's one side of the brain. So anytime you sing or play music or play your violin or whatever. Woo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Blessings on all these babies. Wow. Woo.
Thank you.
Now let's go to lunch.
Thank you.